Hello. So, the other day when I came on about my life icks, I realised afterwards that I'd missed quite a significant ick out. I spoke about my dad and his disability and how he dealt with it and things like that. But I forgot to mention that my dad passed away, well, it'll be 2 years in September. It was the same day as the Queen, but he would have always said that he did it better or he did it first because he was sarcastic and comical like that. My dad, although we were quite distant as I was growing up, more my fault doing than his. Um, I suppose since my eldest child, Sam, was born in 2006, I always wanted my kids to know who their grandparents were. So I got closer to my dad since then. However, still quite distant, but we were a lot closer than what we had been previously, i.e., when we weren't talking at all due to me being a cowbag. But yeah, so my dad died in the September, and then my stepdad, Charlie, who was the most kindest dad figure a girl could ever wished for, he passed away the week before Christmas in 2022. So within 3 months, I lost two dads. So that was a massive ick. Now, with my dad, I never thought that I would be upset when my dad passed away because I never felt truly like, I suppose, he was my dad. It's a weird feeling and very difficult to explain as well. But because I'd never really had a proper relationship with my dad, it didn't feel like I had a dad. But I have been so emotional over when my dad died because I'm like half an orphan now. I'm so lucky that I've still got my mum in my life. But I don't have a dad anymore, and that really hit me hard. And it's not until kind of the last few weeks that I've been able to properly talk about it. But I do still have my emotional meltdowns over it quite frequently. Um, so yeah, it was just, I wanted to tell you all that my dad, since passing, I've spoken more highly about him than I ever did when he was here. And I'm going to have to be careful now because I am feeling that I am getting, welling up a bit. But my dad was an amazing man and he did so much for the spinal injuries community. He used to go to Pinderfields weekly. He's been to Bangladesh. He taught a spinal injury spinal unit over there people how to play basketball, rugby, and do archery. And also bought many a bags of samosas off the street for 20p, as he liked to tell me. They were only 20p. You got a bag full. And he came back with about 20 shirts that he'd paid about £2 each for. But it was an amazing experience that he got to go through. And he also went to Belgium and supported Great Britain in some kind of games. I just remember his shell suit, as it was then, having the Olympic rings on the back, but it wasn't the Paralympics. I can't quite remember what it was. So he got to do that as well. And in latter years, he created a charity with a lot of other people. It wasn't just him, but he was there to create the charity SURF. Now, it's just the initials SURF, and they stand for the Spinal Unit Recreational Fund, and they support Pinderfield's spinal unit, and they go in most weeks. I know Wayne Cunningham is kind of like my dad's protege, let's say, and he's taken over the running of it all, but they do bingo nights and quiz nights, and there's somebody that goes in and sings, and they have prizes all funded by Surf, and they do pizza nights on the ward, again funded by Surf, fish and chip nights. They try get the patients out and take them for a curry, and this is all funded or partially funded by Surf. And the nights, I've not been on any of the curry nights or anything like that, or on the ward, because unfortunately I can no longer drive due to the MS shitness. But I've been to one of the Christmas do's the year that my dad passed away. I went to the Christmas do, and it was amazing. There was so much sort of spirit and jolliness, and I mean, when they put a picture up of my dad and started talking about him, I really got emotional then, and I'm about to now, so I'm going to stop talking about that. But the work that charity does for the spinal unit in Pinderfields, ex-patients and current patients, old and new, they do things for all, and it is an amazing charity. So if you can, jump on and make a donation to them, because that's very worthwhile. But also it is MS Awareness Month as well, and as you know, I've got secondary progressive MS, and as you know, I say it is shit, but it is what it is, and I have the willpower to battle on and just put up and shut up with it. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do about it, so I do just crack on. And I think I get a lot of that attitude from my dad, because that's what his approach to his injury was. It wasn't like he could say, oh, well, I fancy like walking today, so I'll just jump up. But he battled through it all, and my stepmom, she helped him a lot. And I know, given how bad I am physically with my mobility and everything now, how much Dave has to help me. So my stepmom, Beryl, she must have had to help my dad a lot, and I appreciate that so much. And I need to stop talking about that as well now, because I'm gonna cry. But yeah, MS and spinal injuries have been a massive part of my life. Spinal injuries, more or less, for every minute that I can remember of my life, and MS for the last 16 years nearly. And although it's rubbish, it's the card I've been dealt, so I just deal with it. I shall continue 5 days later. I had a bit of an emotional meltdown, so I just had to stop it, because I just couldn't talk about it anymore. Spinal injuries and MS have basically controlled my life, and disability especially. But this week has been absolutely naff. I went to orthotics on Wednesday, and I have to wear splints that basically go up the back of my calf and under my foot, because when I walk, my foot is at an angle, dropped onto the floor. It's called foot drop. So as I'm walking, my foot gets caught on the floor and then I fall forwards, which isn't the best way to be. Although I have become one with being horizontal now, whether it's been flat on the floor, face down, on my back or whatever. I fall so much, which is why I now use the wheelchair, which makes things a lot easier. But I just wanted to finish off really and say that disability is real. It is. There's nothing that anybody can do about it, unless, you know, you haven't hurt yourself as badly as what you first thought, i.e. you've broken your leg heals. But when you've got a critical illness such as multiple sclerosis or motor neuron disease even, or a spinal injury that makes you wheelchair bound for life, there's nothing that anybody can do about it. So it is what it is. And yes, Dave, I have stolen your saying. He believes that he invented that saying, despite it being said years before he said it. But when I went to orthotics on Wednesday, I was given some shoes to put on over my splints. And these shoes are the most hideous things you have ever seen in your life. They are like proper disability special shoes. They remind me when I used to go to my mum's shop in Morley Market. There used to be a man that walked in sometimes, and he had one leg shorter than the other, and it had a heel on it, sort of like 2 or 3 inches high, as like a wedge within his shoe. And these shoes really remind me of those. And I had the biggest meltdown I think I have ever had, because having gone from wearing the most beautiful, pretty heeled shoes with diamantes on, 3 inches, 4 inches high, and walking around with my legs looking slim in a short skirt or even a knee-length dress, heels always made me feel elegant and pretty. And about 3 or 4 years, if not longer, I had, well, it will be longer, it'll probably be about 6 years now, I had to downgrade to wearing flats, which wasn't so bad at the time because Clark's is my favourite shoe shop anyway, and they do some amazing flat shoes. But my feet have now swollen, so I have to buy extra wide fitting shoes. So I currently have 2 or maybe 3 pairs that I can wear after having about 6, 7, maybe 10 pairs of heels that I used to wear. So it can get me down at times. But on Wednesday, when I got given these not heels, they're really not heels, they're hideous, these shoes to fit my splints within as well, I had the biggest meltdown ever. My mum rang me just as I got through the door and sat down properly settled with my legs up to help with the swelling of the manky feet. I would show you, but my dog's currently laid between my legs, covering them, which is lovely. I like it when she does that because it keeps them warm. But my mum rang me, and I think I really shocked her because I don't really show much emotion over my MS or disability or anything. I do just put up and shut up, and I crack on with things because that's how I deal with things. It's how I get through the day. And when I do get myself into a mess like this, or that, should I say, I do often kind of pull myself together and think, Suzanne, there are people dying. There are people so much worse off than me and actually suffering in pain to the point that they can't do anything because of the pain. Now, I take a hell of a lot of tablets a day, but I know my mother-in-law takes nearly 100 tablets a day. So in comparison, my measly 15, 20 tablets a day is nothing. But knowing that I aren't as bad off as what some people are, and knowing that I still have my friends, my family, my children, even my little dog, it keeps me going. And having Dave especially, he's my rock, he's my world, he's my everything, because without him I wouldn't really be able to do anything anymore. I struggle to get in and out of my car, and he literally picks me up and puts me in my chair. So goodness knows what's going to happen when he gets old and decrepit and can't lift me anymore because he's broken his back from lifting me in future times. Sorry, past times even. But no, it is what it is, and we've just got to deal with it. And with it being MS Awareness Month especially, I just want to tell everybody that MS isn't just 2 letters or however many letters there is in multiple sclerosis. It is a life-changing illness, and it is something that can affect you mildly or drastically. I class myself as sort of top level of mediocre affected, purely because there are people that are bedbound by it, and I am bedbound, and I can still get on my stair lift by myself, and I can still get a shower by myself and bathe myself. Granted, I have a wet room and I have a shower chair, but there are people that can't even get themselves into their shower seats. So I look at myself as pretty damn lucky, because I am still fighting this disease. I will not let it take over me completely. I have MS. MS doesn't have me, and I will try and fight with that theory in my mind and body until I take my last breath, because I need to keep fighting for my children. My children are my world, and without them, I don't know what I would do. And it's just, I always joke that I have too many children, too many boys, but I do love them. I love them with all my heart. And then I've got Ryan as well. Totally outnumbered me. 4 boys, well, 3 boys and a man, but I will still class it as 4 boys because Dave is a big kid. So when it came to getting a dog, I refused to get a boy dog because I was not going to be completely overtaken, and so we got a little girl doggy to try and weigh the numbers out. Medium, like, well, not at all, but yeah, when you see somebody in a wheelchair, don't just, if they can stand up, don't think, oh, they've just bought that and using it as a joke. There are people like myself, I can still stand up, I just can't walk very far, because when I do walk, I go onto the outside edges of my foot, so I'm walking like that rather than flat on my foot like that. And yes, it is very painful. But people use wheelchairs for all different reasons. People that have radar keys for disabled toilets have them for all different reasons. There's people with colostomy bags that you can't see a normal person. I remember it'd probably be over a year ago now, at the Co-op car park in Queensbury, a guy literally sped into the car park and pulled up and parked into the disabled space. So I literally was sat in my car waiting, and as he got out of his car, I kind of flashed him my disabled badge in a fit of anger, and he lifted his left or right foot up, I can't remember which, and he had like a rod foot, I don't know, he was an amputee, he didn't have his own foot, so he had like a fake leg as such, and I felt so bad because he looked completely normal, he looked fine, he even had a shoe on it. But pointing that out to me really brought it home that just because I can't walk doesn't mean that there are other people that can walk that aren't disabled. So in fear, I went out of the car park and waited till he got back in his car and drove off. And when I saw his car pull out of the car park, I then went into the car park and went into the Co-op because I got a little bit scared. But just be mindful of disability, be mindful of all the different possibilities of what people could have. And for all those that have lost a parent, you have my wholehearted sympathy, because I never thought that I would feel this way about losing a parent, especially not my dad, as harsh as that sounds, but it has had a massive impact on me and made me realise a lot of things, and I feel so guilty for talking so highly of my dad now when I've never did when he was alive, and I really should have done that, but that's just a minor regret. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say this week, but I will try and make another video for next week, and we will take it from there. All right, look after yourselves, everybody. Take care.